Well, good morning, my garden friends. It's July 1st, and I wanted to give you an update of my garden here in the backyard. A few things have changed since we were back here last, and and the lighting is just perfect. You can see the plumeria. They've all pretty much finished their blooming for the year. I might get another small flush, but you can see I'm starting to get a little bit of yellow leaf. I'm sure the rust that I had last year is uh, is going to invade my yard again this year, and I think it's just something we're going to learn to accept. And starting on this side, the tea plants look good. I cleaned those out. Everything looks great. The coleus that I've planted at the base is coming out quite well. And I love having coleus all throughout here because the bees and butterflies just seem to enjoy coming over here in the mornings. They, during the heat of the day, I see them in different places. And you can see I always get spiders. I don't know if I can get down low enough that you can see that spider web. But he's incredible, isn't he? Oh, really making a pretty one. And of course, Mr. B. But I have coleus that just comes back year after year, and it has those beautiful bloom heads that the bees and butterflies like. So that's over in this section. And then the hibiscus is just flowering beautifully. I'm getting a little yellow leaf down below now that we've started having rains again. The agapanthus that was just, oh, absolutely so gorgeous. You can see these blooms are all spent now. And these are seed heads. I could have hundreds and hundreds, thousands of blooms if I really wanted to, but I think this is enough for me. The one teepee I was starting, the beans were starting to really yellow, and I think I'd finished picking them, and I decided that it was time to kind of pull the plug on that. I had Japanese giant red mustard down below, and that pretty much petered out. It's so hot that it was really kind of bolting, and those greens were getting they were getting very hot. They had to be cooked to eat them. And but I left my little teepee up. As you can see, I have a little guy over here who's going to use it as his staging for calling the girls in. Or maybe that's a girl and she's going to go get ready for her date tonight. And more agapanthus. This is the second teepee that I had, the second one that I made, and that still seems to be hanging on. It makes a great shade spot when the sun comes overhead in the next couple hours. And I'm going to plant some stuff underneath here that probably would like some shade. Over in the first spot, by the way, I plan to put in some carrots and see if I can get another harvest of carrots coming out. But you can see with these beans, let me tuck in under here, that I'm still getting beans. And so not a whole lot. I mean, we have 6 or 8 beans chopped up in our greens. Another hibiscus that's doing quite well. More coleus. I planted sweet potato here, and I have this nice little vine. I figure eventually I'll get a few sweet potatoes off of it. My tomatoes are still harvesting. As a matter of fact, I had to come out and pick a couple for in a couple days. We'll eat these. And this year I planted basil in between it and marigolds behind it, and I have not seen one tomato hornworm, so knock wood. Down the side here I still have just my teepees and some marigolds, and not much going on down there, so I won't bother taking you. On this side, of course, I have parsnips that I'm just really hoping they come up nicely. And I've never grown parsnips before, so that'll be exciting. The the Japanese greens that I was going to just throw away, I decided to put those in my compost pile with my grass clippings and shredded paper, so we'll see how that goes. And interestingly enough, the agapanthus on this side bloom probably 2 months later than the first ones I showed you. So it's like they get the morning sun, and then they're shielded from the afternoon sun because of the preserve, and then so they're coming up much later. And my papaya, my friend who gave it to me is telling me that I possibly have a male papaya, and if I do, that I need to rip it out. And I thought, oh my goodness, after growing it for 3 months here, and this going from a little foot, I mean, it was only to here, and now it's probably as tall as I am. And to have to lose that, I would be crushed. But you know, I'm a gardener, so you do what you have to do. The greens, I'm sorry, the purple fountain grass came back. It looks good. These plumes are just wonderful to cut and arrange with some very pretty crepe myrtle. You know, you can cut this and make a nice vase arrangement, or I could cut it and have it in with some agapanthus heads. That would all be pretty. You know, it depends on what you want to take inside. If you ever grow caladiums, they also make a beautiful cut flower arrangement. They really hold quite well. And to have these with the plumes is a really nice combination. So my Florida red maple, which everyone laughs and they go, well, how could that be a red maple because it looks green? Well, in the fall it does turn red just before the leaves fall off, and then in the spring when they first come out, they have a red tinge to them. So you know, I don't know what's going to happen, if it will as it gets older, if it will be. I wonder if you can see, whoops, she just flew off. It was the cardinal. We used to have our feeder out here, and unfortunately the squirrel kept coming, and the raccoon, it was drawing them in from the preserve, and they would just come and they would knock the seeds everywhere, and also knock the bird feeder. I mean, they were breaking bird feeders left and right, and we decided, no, these birds have enough to eat back here. So anyway, this is the raspberry crepe myrtle, and this is a mauve crepe myrtle. I think this raspberry is more grafted and grown into this variety, whereas the mauve was one of the original colors from, you know, way back when, because when we travel to Georgia, this is more the color that you see. And but it's beautiful, and it was just a shoot. I have a big one in the front yard that the developer put in back in 2007, and it was just a little root that came out, and I cut it off and babied it, and this is really only about 3 years old, and I constantly have to cut these down or it would just take over. But this is what I use. These branches are what I use to make like a little hoop fence. In the spring I will cut these back and I let the branch dry, and then it gets very woody, and it makes a nice little hoop fence, and I use it around gardens to keep any dogs from walking up, especially in the front yard. And let's see, when I was having the bird feeder out, I threw some seeds back along the fence line, and I had a few, but this was the one that was the big boy that came up, and you can see that it's ready to be harvested. These are all sunflowers that I will leave out, or either leave for the birds or use for maybe next year, if I wanted to have sunflowers. More plumeria, and I believe we're back at square one here. So anyway, thanks for visiting. I sure like telling you about my yard and having you all come to visit. I hope you give me a thumbs up, and if you like my channel, I hope you'll subscribe. Come back and see me again. Take care. Bye-bye.